Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Sun, and welcome back to Stories Untold Till Now. Today, we are diving in the world of short horror stories. These are short in length, and I'm actually rather fond of these stories, as they usually don't need a whole lot to misguide or take unexpected turns to send shiver down your spine. Without further ado, let's get started. This New Old House by Batutu Hell 821. We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the new construction, like converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, for instance, while I'm on the wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every wall and ceiling. Removing it is brutal but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to when you're peeling it from a sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kind of want to make a game of peeling, on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and date. Curiosity got the best of me one night when I was Googled one of the names and discovered that the person was actually a missing person. The missing date matching the date under the wallpaper. The next day I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was for a missing person with dates to match. We notified the police, who naturally sent out the crime scene team. I overheard one of the techs say, "Yup, it's human." Human? What's human? "Ma'am, where's the material you removed from the wall already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing." Number 2. I Hate It When My Brother Charlie Has to Go Away by Horror in Pure Form. I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. My parents constantly try to explain to me how sick he is, that I'm lucky for having a brain where all the chemicals flow properly to the destinations like undammed rivers. When I complain about how bored I am without a little brother to play with, they try to make me feel bad by pointing out his boredom likely surpasses mine, considering he's confined to a dark room in an institution. I always begged them to give him at least one last chance. Of course, they did at first. Charlie has been back home several times, even shorter in duration than the last. Every time, without fail, it all starts again. The neighbor's cats with gouged out eyes showing up in his toy chest, my dad's razors found dropped on the baby slide in the park across the street, mom's vitamins replaced by bits of dishwasher tablets. My parents are now hesitate using last chances sparingly. They say his disorder makes him charming, makes it easy for him to fake normalcy, and to trick the doctors who care for him into thinking he's ready for rehabilitation. That I will just have to put up with my boredom if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie has to go away. It makes me have to pretend to be good until he's back. Number 3. Guardians by Dark Alligator. He awoke to the huge, insect-like creature looming over his bed, and screamed his lungs out. They hastily left the room, and he stayed up all night, shaking and wondering if it had been a dream. The next morning, there was a tap on the door. Gathering his courage, he opened it to see one of them gently place a plate filled with fried breakfast on the floor, then retreated to a safe distance. Bewildered, he accepted the gift. The creatures chittered excitedly. This happened every day for weeks. At first, he was worried they were fattening him up, but after a particularly greasy breakfast left him clutching his chest from heartburn, they were replaced with fresh fruit. As well as cooking, they poured a hot, steamy bath for him and even tucked him in when he went to bed. It was a bazaar. One night, he awoke to gunshots and screaming. He raced downstairs to find a decapitated burglar being devoured by the insects. He was sickened, but disposed of the remains as best as he could. He knew they had just been protecting him. One morning, the creatures wouldn't let him leave his room. He lay down, confused but trusting, as they ushered him back into the bed. Whatever their motives, they weren't going to hurt him. Hours later, a burning pain spread throughout his body. It felt like his stomach was filled with razor wire. The insects chittered as he spasmed and moaned. It was only when he felt a terrible squirming feeling beneath his skin that he realized the insects hadn't been protecting him. They had been protecting their young. Number 4. Seeing Red, The First Day of School by Zenriao. Everyone loves the first day of school, right? New year, new classes, new friends. It's a day full of potential and hope, before all the dreary depression of reality show up to ruin all the fun. I like the first day of school for a different reason, though. You see, I have a sort of power. When I look at people, I can sense a sort of aura around them. A colored outline based on how long the person has to live. Most everyone I meet around my age is surrounded by a solid green hue, which means they have plenty of time left. A fair amount of them have yellow or oranges tinge their auras, which tends to mean a car crash or some other tragedy. Anything that takes people before their time, as they say. The real fun is when ours venture into the red end of the spectrum, though. Every now and again, I'll see someone who basically is a walking stoplight. Those are the ones who get murdered or kill themselves. It's just a rush to see them and know their time is numbered. With that in mind, I always get to class very early so I can scout out my classmates' fates. The first kid who walked in was basically radiating red. I chuckled to myself. Too damn bad, bro. But as people kept walking in, they all had the same intense red glow. I finally caught a glimpse of my rose-tinted reflection in the window, but I was too stunned to move. Our professor stepped in and locked the door, his aura a sickening shade of green. Number 5. They Got the Definition Wrong, by Louis. It has been said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I understand the sentiment behind this saying, but it's wrong. I entered the building on a bet. I was strapped for cash and didn't buy into the old legend of the hotel to begin with, so $50 was more than enough to get me to do it. It was simple. Just reach the top of the floor, the 45th floor, and shine my flashlight from a window. The hotel was old and broken, including the elevator, so that meant hiking up the stairs. So up the stairs I went. As I reached each platform, I noted the old brass plaques displaying the floor numbers. 15, 16, 17, 18. I felt a little tired as I crept higher. So far, no ghosts, no cannibals, no demons. Piece of cake. I can't tell you how happy I was as I entered the last stretch of numbers. I joyfully counted them out loud at each platform. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. 44? I stopped and looked back down the stairs. I must have miscounted, so I continued up. 44. One more flight. 44. Then down 10 flights. 44. 15 flights. 44. And so, it's been as long as I can remember. So really, insanity isn't doing something repeatedly and expecting different results. It's knowing that the result will never ever change, that each door leads to the same staircase, to the same number. It's realizing you'll no longer fall asleep. It's not knowing whether you've been running for days, weeks, or years. It's when the sobbing slowly turns into laughter. Number 6. My Daughter Learned to Count, by Real Science 87. My daughter woke me up around 11:50 last night. My wife and I had to pick her up from her friend Sally's birthday party. Brought her home, put her to bed. My wife went into the bedroom to read while I fell asleep watching the Braves game. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging my shirt sleeve. "Guess how old I'm gonna be next month?" "I don't know, beauty," I said as I slipped on my glasses. "How old?" She smiled and held up 4 fingers. It is now 7:30 a.m. My wife and I have been up with her for almost 8 hours. She still refuses to tell us where she got the fingers. Number 7. Timekeeper, by Gridster2. He had been given the watch on his 10th birthday. It was an ordinary gray plastic wristwatch in every respect, except for the fact that it was counting down. "This is all the time you have left in the world, son. Use it wisely." And indeed he did. As the watch ticked away, the boy, now a man, lived life to the fullest. He climbed mountains, swam oceans, and he talked and laughed and lived and loved. The man was never afraid, for he knew exactly how much time he had left. Eventually, the watch began its final countdown. The old man stood looking over everything he had done, everything he'd built. 5. He shook his hands with his old business partner, the man who had been his longtime friend and confidant. 4. His dog came and licked his hand, earning a pat on the head for his companionship. 3. He hugged his son, knowing that he had been a good father. 2. He kissed his wife on the forehead one last time. 1. The old man smiled and closed his eyes. Then, nothing happened. The watch beeped once and turned off. The man stood standing there, very much alive. You would think that in this moment he would have been overjoyed. Instead, for the first time in his life, the man was scared. Number 8. There's No Reason to Be Afraid, by Whoever Fights Monster. When my sister Betsy and I were kids, our family lived for a while in a charming old farmhouse. We loved exploring its dusty corners and climbing the apple tree in the backyard. But our favorite thing was the ghost. We called her Mother, because she seemed so kind and nurturing. Some mornings Betsy and I would wake up, and on each of our nightstands we'd find a cup that hadn't been there the night before. Mother had left them there, worried that we'd get thirsty during the night. She just wanted to take care of us. Among the house's original furnishings was an antique wooden chair, which we kept against the back wall of the living room. Whenever we were preoccupied, watching TV or playing a game, Mother would inch that chair forward, across the room, towards us. Sometimes she'd manage to move it all the way to the center of the room. We'd always felt sad putting it back against the wall. Mother just wanted to be near us. Years later, long after we moved out, I found an old newspaper article about the farmhouse's original occupant, a widow. She'd murdered her 2 children by giving them each a cup of poisoned milk before bed. Then, she hanged herself. The article included a photo of the farmhouse's living room with a woman's body hanging from a beam. Beneath her, knocked over, was that old wooden chair, placed exactly in the center of the room. Number 9. The Perfect Plan by Hunt Frog. On Monday, I came up with the perfect plan. No one even knew we were friends. On Tuesday, he stole the gun from his dad. On Wednesday, we decided to make our move during the following day's pep rally. On Thursday, while the entire school was in the gym, we waited just outside the doors. I was going to use the gun on whoever walked out first. Then he would take the gun and go into the gym blasting. I walked up to Mr. Quinn, the guidance counselor, and shot him in the face 3 times. He fell back into the gym, dead. The shots were deafening. We heard screams in the auditorium. No one could see us yet. I handed him the gun and whispered, "Your turn." And he ran into the gym and started firing. I followed a moment after. He hadn't hit anyone yet. Kids were scrambling and hiding. It was mayhem. I ran up behind him and tackled him. We struggled. I wrenched the gun out of his hands, turned it on him, and killed him. I closed his mouth forever. On Friday, I was anointed a hero. It was indeed the perfect plan. Number 10, Warrior of God by KMA Pak. If God exists, why are there so much evil in the world? It's a common question, but it is misplaced. All things must have balance. Light and dark, good and evil, sound and silence. Without one, the other cannot exist. So if that's true, then God does nothing to fight evil? That might be your follow-up question. Of course he fights evil, relentlessly. I am D'Artagnan, one of his most holy and righteous angels. I roam the earth, disposing of evil whenever I find it. I kill the monsters you don't even want to know about. I crush them completely so you can sleep at night. You humans have no idea how many of you live because of the work I do. But what about Stalin, Hitler, Ted Bundy, Jack the Ripper? Well, those are minor ones I had to let live, for balance. The ones I destroy are too horrible and vile to survive. What's funny is, while I would wager you've never heard the name D'Artagnan in any religious texts, I bet you've heard of me. Americans, for example, have their own name for me. Sudden Infant Death Syndrome. Hey viewers, thanks for stopping by and watching my other video. If there's anything you'd like me to read in the future, just let me know. I will also incorporate true stories. Of course, I'll have to set up an email for that, but you guys just let me know what you'd like to see on my channel, and I'll happily oblige. Thank you so much, and you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.